All right, let's look at our data. That's our assignment. And here we have our server. In our server, the service folder, we have like page, user, website, and widgets. Let's firstly try to move those data into the database. Okay, so remember how we connected to our database. Just open the command or PowerShell or just Windows command here. Remember, firstly you need to create the two folders in your C drive to store the data. So MongoD, to hosting the Mongo database on localhost 127.0.27, something like that. Yeah, and then we are going to try to put data in there manually. Firstly, we want to have some data there to test. We can move those Alice, Bob, Charlie, and Xiyu. We move those data into the database first for us to test. Let's try that. So let's open another PowerShell here, or you can use a command window. It's the same. Let's do Mongo. Let's manually first insert those data there. So first, let me see how many databases I have here. Show DBs. Let me make the font bigger. Property font. Make it the biggest one. Okay, it's here. Show DBs. So I have admin, config, local management, and webmaker. Let's use in the webmaker. Use webmaker. Webmaker. Okay, switch it to database webmaker. Let's show collections. What kind of data we have here? Show collections. I have a user collection. That means I have some user data here. Let's see what we have here. db.user.file. Okay, I have a Alice object here. Let's delete that. db.user.remove. Remove everything inside it. Okay, let's try to find it again. It's empty. Okay, let's try to start moving our data from the server to the database. Let's firstly moving the Alice to this. Copy this one, and that's db.user.insert, and let's paste the Alice inside it. All right, and it should be there, and let's insert the second user, the Bob. See, we just copy the syntax from JavaScript directly into the Mongo database. Because both of them are using a JSON format. It's kind of just an object. Directly put them into the database. It's really convenient. You don't have to set up anything. Just put them in there. db.user.insert. Insert Bob in there. Right click here, paste it over there. And let's insert another one. db.user.insert. Let's copy another one. It's for Charlie. And the last one, oops, sorry, I shouldn't do it all of them. We don't really need the ID there, because it's gonna automatically give us ID instead of we manually put them there. Let's delete these IDs here first. Let's see what we have here. db.user.file. .pretty. Oops, pretty should be a function. Yeah, if we manually put the ID there, they're just using the ID we give them. But actually, I want them to be automatically generated one. So I just want to delete those IDs here. I don't need those IDs here. These IDs. Let me clear the database. Let me try to redo it again. db.user.remove. So it should have username, password, first name, last name, email. Is this what we need to have? Let's check assignment 7. So user, we have username, password, first name, last name, email. For the websites, I don't think we need that. Let's just remove it. Yeah, I don't think we need that. Let's put it, let me keep it here. So in the future, when we're trying to do the application, let's see if we need that. And we have a data created. Okay, we need the data created. So let's not manually input them there. Let me see. User.file pretty is empty. Let's leave that empty. I think it's better idea to using the code like ask JavaScript to like when we register a user, let JavaScript do it for us, so it can automatically generate a data created value for us. Maybe it's better. Yeah, let's do it that way. So let's keep this layout. Okay, and let's go back to assignment 7. Let's firstly trying to link our server with the Mongo database, and then instead of we manually put data by ourselves, we are trying to using the register function. Like to each time we register a new user, and then we're going to the system will try to call the MongoDB by itself and put the data into the database. Maybe that's a better choice. So in order to link server with the Mongo database, we need to do two things. Firstly, we need to install Mongoose. Mongoose is a library, like it provides some function, some like functions for us to help us to link the Mongo database. It's just so we need to install this library to make it easier for us to connect to the database, and also like we can use functions that can use a file removed directly in our JavaScript, and it will be automatically transferred to the MongoDB language to call those functions, those methods, those operations in the Mongo database. So the first thing is just open your assignment. Simple assignment here. Git bash here. Let's install the Mongoose. So the command is already in assignment. It's npm install Mongoose. Save. Mongoose is just library, like you will be able to easier to use those functions we have in the Mongoose, easier to communicate with the MongoDB. And after the Mongoose is installed in your server, you are going to create a new folder, a new empty folder here called models. In the models here, I think it's also mentioned in 7.7. Yeah, create an empty model folder there. And in your model server, in your model folder, those are the files you will need. Like you will need model.server.js, and you will need each folder for different objects. Like we need a user folder, a website folder, a page folder, and a widget folder. Let's make it bigger. It's too big. Right? Okay, so let's create those folders first. So in your assignment, just in the models folder, just create some new folders here. You need a user, you need a website. Like those are going to be similar to the service here. We're going to have a different files, like to communicate with different data. Like here, we're going to have different folders. We will put our data specific for the user in the user folder, and we'll put the functions specific for the website in the website folder. So here we need a page and a widget. Okay, in the models folder, you're gonna have four new folders here, like one for each user, website, page, and widget. All right. And in the models folder, well, there's going to be a new JavaScript file using the Mongoose to connect it with the MongoDB, right? Like Mongo. Let's create a new file here. Let's call it models.server.js. Okay, models.service.js. Models.server.js. Is that how it got? Yeah. This file will be used to connect with the Mongo database. Like This one is running on our server, and it will connect it with a Mongo database. The code I already gave you is right here. Just copy this one here. Like firstly, it have a connecting string. The string is telling you like where does it connected locally. It's a MongoDB 127.00.1, and the port is 27017. And here it's telling him like which database I want to use. Here I put it a web dev. You can call it like a web maker. Like it's just telling him like which database I want to use. And here it's telling him like in order to connect with a Mongo database, you need to provide a username and a password for it for security reason. Like if you're running locally, you don't really need a username and password. This username and password is used for the Heroku. If you're trying to connect with a database on Heroku, you will need a username and a password here to guarantee like only you can like log into your database, others cannot. And the connection string is equal to the MongoDB and the slash with plus username and plus password, and then plus there is a mlam connection string on your Heroku. I will show you later. And after we set up the connecting string, this connection string is for locally. This connection string is for the MongoDB on the Heroku. And once we have the connecting string, we just create a variable which is mongoose. Yeah, sure. So we just after we got the connecting string, this one is a connecting string for the Heroku. This one is connecting string for the locally. I already have comment there. And after we got it, we'll just use mongoose to connect to the connecting string. That's just one line. Mongoose to connect and connecting with the connect string. Then the MongoDB is connected with our code, our server. All right, and then we just export it. So this is what all you need to have in the Mongoose in the models.server.js. And your app.js, you are going to use the model server.js in there. So we just put it there. Require it's slash go to the from the hold on it's not. Oops, it's frozen. 1 second. Okay, so it's slash models folder, and then go looking for the models.server.js. Yeah, just import the models.js in our app.js here, so it will be called. This all the code here will be called when we run the server.js, right? Server.js is calling the app.js. App.js will call the models server.js function code there. Let's see if the installation is finished. Okay, Mongoose is installed. So let's firstly try it. So let's close this one here. Okay, this one is still running the MongoD, right? This one is still running the MongoD. And if I open Git bash here, if I do the node server, oops, I have some error here. User Mongo client option is no longer necessary. Use Mongo collect is no longer necessary. Let's see. Oh, this one is no longer necessary. Let's delete that. Then it's become much easier. Like just connecting string. Okay. Let's place this one to the assignment. This one is not required anymore. So just one line. MongoDB to connecting string. Let's try that. Where is that? It's right here. Clear that. So right now it's saying 0 connection is now open. If I try to node server, it's saying like there is 1 connection. Connection accepted from 127.00.1, something like that. 1 connection now open. It's connected with the MongoDB, and we can start to write some code to ask it to insert data to 0, to update data to 0, or to delete data to 0. Like the server right now is connected with our MongoDB. If we just using the server to run some code like a db the user the file, db the user the insert, it will do it in a way like a do it for us to insert directly from the code, the JavaScript code here, to like we don't have to manually insert the data by ourselves. So as I said, like right now we are using this connection string here. MongoDB 127.0.1 is local. It's a Mongo database locally, and here we say that if there is a process if in the environment, if we have a mlamp username, then we are going to update the connection string to this one, and this is a connection string used on the hierarchy. Well, we are going to worry about that later. Okay. Firstly, let's just using the locally connection string to working on the local database. And in the future, we are trying to move our database from locally to the hierarchy. Let them put our data online, put somewhere like a secured. Okay, so right now the MongoDB is connected with our server, and we're going to create some JavaScript files there. In your user folder, you're gonna create user.schema.server.js. Also in the user.model.server.js. And in the schema, it's going to be the place we're telling what kind of data will be stored in the user. I'm going to show you how to do that. And in the model server.js are those going to be those functions about db the user the file, db the user the update, those kind of things. So let's start from the creating those files. In the user folder, let's create a file called user.schema.server.js, and also we need user.model.server.js. Okay, those are 2 files we need for user. Let's start from user. So in the user schema, we're going to create a schema for the user, like what kind of data we have for each user. Same thing like we have in our client side, right? In our client side, we have in the source app models, user models. Here we're telling him like we tell the client what a user should look like, and in the server, we also want to tell the MongoDB what a user should look like. Right? Like we're not put the schema in the database, but we're going to put the schema in our server code. Otherwise, like the user will be like something randomly. It's not like what we want. So we're gonna have a variable mongoose. We need to require the mongoose here. Require mongoose here. Let's import mongoose to this file. And we can create a variable user schema is equal to mongoose.schema. It's a function, and we can use that to create a schema for the user. So then we can just start putting things like what can a user have? A username, right? A user will have a username. Username, it's a string, and a password. We are going to using the capital S here because the JavaScript doesn't really know what is a lowercase string. It's a TypeScript code. So we are using JavaScript code here. So we're just going to using the uppercase one. Password is string. It has a first name. It's a string. It has a last name. It's a string. Those are the things each user will have, and it has an email. It's also a string. And if you take a look of assignment 7 here, it's saying like we need to have a, let's remove this website here. I don't think we need that. We will have a date created. which is going to be current data. When does this data is created? This is just for the reference for us. Like we know, like when does this user is registered. So let's just have that one here. So it's going to be date created. All right, and instead of just saying like date, we are going to give it a default value to it. Like each time, if the user doesn't make a date created, we are going to put a default value for them as a default date. Like so, we can use a bracket here, saying like the type of it is a date, and the default value is date. Now, it's today's date. Right, this is how you saying like the type is a date, and we give a default value to it, which is today's date. Date now. And here we need to put a bracket saying collection user. Like this one, we are telling the MongoDB which collection I will use. I will use a user collection. Like I will use a user database to store this data in the user collection, right? Like each object is a collection. User is a collection, website is a collection, page is a collection. We are going to store this data in a user collection. Okay, that's everything you need in this file, telling the MongoDB what kind of data you want to store for each user. And let's export it. Module.exports. Let's export it. Exports this user schema, right? Export this variable user schema. This whole thing here. I want to export it. And in the model server here, we are going to have those functions like ask it to find, to update, to delete. So let's do it over here. It's still very simple. Like each function just one line. Variable. Let's import the mongoose here first. Mongoose is equal to require mongoose, and we need to using the schema we just created. We created a user schema here. Let's put it here. Variable user schema is equal to require the, let's put the comment here, the slash user folder the user the model. No, sorry, it's user the schema the server the JS. That's a schema we just created. And in order to call those functions, we just need the syntax. Like the user, we need to create a new object. It's a user model object, and it is using one of function from Mongoose. It's Mongoose the model. And the model takes two things. One thing is a name. It's going to be user model. And it takes a schema for it, which is a user schema. It's just a syntax to allows you to create a user model based on this schema. And we're going to use this model to create those functions. All right. So here we can in the assignment 7, we already like I mentioned what kind of function we need for the user. We need a create user, which gonna create a new user instance. We need to find user by ID, which retrieve a user instance whose ID is equal to the parameter user ID. And we need we can change this to UID to not confusing you. And find user by username, find user by credential, update user. Let's change this to UID to not confusing you. And delete user. Okay, those are the functions we need. Those are functions are the same number or same functions as we have in the user.service server here, right? We have find user by ID, find users, create user, update user, and delete user. Like those functions was trying to modify the array we have here, and later we're gonna connect it with our model server and ask it to communicate with our database. Okay, So here we're gonna create those functions. User model. Let's first user model. The which functions we need? Let's take a look. We need a create user. So create user. It's going to equals to create user, and we're going to create functions here. The function create user. Right, this is going to be our create user function. And each time when we call user model create user, it's going to call this function here. All right, it's going to call this create user function here. And we also need other functions. Let's put all of them there. Find user by ID, user model dot find user by ID. Let's just copy that. Let's copy this. Put it here. And we need the user model, the find user by username, right? And we need the find user by credentials, and we need the user model, the update user. Those are functions we will need, and the delete user. Maybe we don't need delete user, but let's just put it here. Right, also delete user. And then we're gonna create the body for each function. So for the create user, the MongoDB actually it's going to be DB the user insert. The Mongoose actually provides some convenient functions, like you don't have to say DB the user the insert. It will. You can just using return. This one going to call the user model the create. You can just use the create here. It will call the DB the user insert, and it takes a user which is imported, which is a parameter here. Just create this user for us. The Mongoose will, this is one of the Mongoose function. The create will call the DB the user insert. This will automatically insert this user into your database. All right, it's just one of the Mongoose function. If you want to know more about the Mongoose, just search for it, and they should have a documentation here to show you what functions we have there. I think it's MongoGist here. Read the docs. They should have all the functions here. Okay, all the functions should be here. You can take a look. The models, everything is up here. Like querying, delete, update. I think this should be a insert, just using the create. Okay, so we have the create user, and we need the find user by ID. So function find user by ID. Let's take a look. Assignment 7, find user by ID. Let's copy this. Function find user by ID takes a user ID. Okay. So in order to find user by ID, we can usually say like a db.user.find, and trying to find the one with ID equal to the UID we give it. And also Mongoose give us a convenient function we can use. Just return user model the find by ID, and find the ID equals UID. And this one going to call the function in the MongoDB user db.user.find, and give the ID to it. Okay, this one going to return us the user with this specific ID. And next one is find user by username. Function find user by username. I think this takes a username, right? Yeah, it takes a username. So we don't really have a convenient function for this, so it's going to be user return user model the find. We can actually use find1. The difference between find and find1 is the find is going to give you all the data you have. Like if you use find, it's going to give you a list of user with this username. Like if you have 2 users with username Alice, the find, we're going to find a list of it. Then maybe have a list of 1, list of 2, and then you need to call I want the first one of it. And this we can just use it, instead of just doing the find and getting the first one, we can just using the find1. This function will just directly give us the first one they found. the first user they found with this username, they will give it to you. So here, just telling him who to find. I want to find the one with username is equal to this username over here. Okay, I want to find the one with the username equal to the username we give it. This is completely like a MongoDB MongoDB syntax. Find the one with username equal to the username. And we have the find user by credential. So we're going to do a function. Find the user by credential. It takes the username, takes the password, and this one is also going to using the find one method, which is user model dot find one, and it's going to say I want to find the one with username equal to username, and the password is equal to password. And okay, that's it. Okay, every function just simple one line, just telling the mongoose to run just do an insert or do a delete or do update in the MongoDB. Okay, so it's just simply one line. And next one is to update. An update, I take the user and the UID. Let's copy that. Function update user takes UID and the user. Just return. I'll do an update there. So user module the update. Remember, like the update takes two items, right? The first one tell the MongoDB which one we want to update. I want to update the one with ID equals to UID, and I want to update it to the user I have here. Okay, it takes two items. First one telling the MongoDB which one I want to update. The second one is telling him like what I want to update it to. I want to update it to the user we give it in the parameter. Okay, and we have a delete. UID, and just return the MongoDB. The user model is just DB the user, and just the remove. I want to remove it. Okay, which one to remove? Like if I just say remove with empty bracket, it's going to remove everything I have. But I only want to remove the one with the user ID, with the ID is equal to UID. I only want to remove this one. So I just put a condition here saying I want to remove the one with ID equals to UID. So those are all the functions we need. Like each one of them is connected going to connect it with the one we had in the user service server here. Like we have find user, we have a find user by ID, select user by ID, we have all those things here. So instead of just going to use, we are not going to using this user's array anymore. It's coming this out, and those functions are not going to modify this user's array anymore. We're going to using the data we have in our database. So let's modify those functions. Let's make it like instead of modify this array, let's ask it to connect it with our database using the function we just created. So in the user service here, let's firstly we created a user model here, right? Let's export this user model first. Then we're going to import it from the service we have there. So just user model let's just export it. So it's going to be module the exports. Like I want to use it somewhere, just export it. It's equal to this user model. Right? Like everything, all those functions are from the user model. I just need to export this user model. Export the user model. Okay? And in the user service, the server.js file, in this file, we are going to modify those functions. I don't think we need a select user by ID. Let me comment this out. So let's start from the create user, right? We have a create user here. It's getting a user from the request body. Yeah, we still need that. And it's randomly generated ID. We don't need that. The MongoDB will generate the one for me. I can delete that. And this one is trying to push the user into user array. No, I don't need to push that. And this one is with the JSON the user. Yeah, I still need to send the response to the user. So in here, we're going to firstly on the top, let's import the Mongoose, this Mongo module I just created. Oops, where is that? It's here. So in this here, we just need to variable user model. Let's import the user model to here. It's equal to require the model just created. So it's from /. Right now I'm in the service folder. All the things I should be in the models folder. So it's models and the user the model the server.js. Right? This is where the user model is located at. Okay, this is where the user model is located at. User model is not this one. Is user model. Where is that? User model is right here. Okay, this is where the user model is located. We're just trying to import it from the from the location. Okay. And in the create function, where is my create? We're going to say user model dot create user. We have the create user function over there, and then it takes a user, right? Takes this user. I want to create this user, and this is going to be a request sending to a database, sending to the Mongoose. Please sending this create user function to the MongoDB, and after the request, after the user is created, I going to do another function. So I have a then here. So it asks it to, after the user is created, then please call a function for me. Please return this user, return some response to the client. So it's going to be a function, takes a user, and we're going to send this user back to the client. Or you can just using the arrow function. Okay, we don't have the function here. Using the arrow here, right? It's the same thing. Just saying, tell him like, okay, after you getting response from the database, I believe you are going to getting some data. Then just send this data to the response JSON. Or you believe you're gonna get a user, just sending this user to the response JSON. Doesn't really matter. It's just some kind of data we received from the MongoDB. It may telling you if this is a find call, like we're trying to retrieve some user data. If we're trying to retrieve the user with the username equal to Alice, it's going to definitely going to be a user with a data of Alice. Like it has Alice username, has Alice password, has Alice email. But because this one is a create, it may not give you the tell you like the data for the Alice. Instead, it will telling you like some result right one, right? Like in our MongoDB we tried, right? If we're just trying to create something, use webmaker. If we're just trying to create something like a DB the user the insert. If I try to insert something here, like insert a user with username is equals to hi, it won't give you the, sorry, I have an error here. Oh yeah, it should be a comment. It should be a hi, quotation marks. Saying it won't give you the user data. It will just tell you results right and insert one. And this is going to be response, the database sending to us. So this is going to be the response I'm getting when I call the create user. So this is not going to be a user, it's going to be some data. And the server doesn't really care the data it is. I just want to send this data to the client side. Right? Like no matter what kind of user data I get, I just want to send this data to the client side. Alright? And this going function will be caught when we try to register a user, I think. And this
I just had a question, because that's a promise, right?
It is a promise.
Do you have to do any error handling on that? It doesn't come back?
normally we actually need to do error handling for this one, but like because this one is just simply using the create function from the this one is connected with Mongoose, right? Mongoose is going to call the create functions for us to do for the database, and this one is going to sending a DB the insert this user to the database, and database is going to give us a response. Like if it's successfully, it's going to tell us write result, something like that. If it's not successfully, it will tell us there's some error. I cannot insert this for you. And this, like if this is failed, this data will be sending to us reference error. High is not defined, things like that. And this is data we're gonna get. So no matter it's successfully or not, we are going to getting a response from this database. And this database is the one here, database data, right? That's going to be the response. It's going to be some kind of like a response we're getting from the database, and we're going to just sending this response to the client. Then the client can read this response, saying, okay, if it's successfully or not. If it's successfully, and it will telling you the user, registering successfully, I will navigate you to your profile. If not, we can just give you a user error that you're saying like your username is maybe it's taken or something like that. Just try it again. Okay? So the server doesn't really handle the error. It's just sending the response to the client. The client knows like there's gonna be successfully or error there. We're gonna handle that later. Okay? It's just kind of some data. We're just sending that data to the client. The server doesn't really do anything. Yep. So let's do it for all the functions we have here, like find the user by ID. For the user by ID, so instead of just using the select user and the JSON user, we're just getting the user UID. Then we just call the user model. The find the user by ID. We have find the user by ID in the user model, right? And it takes a UID. And then, no matter what I get from database, I'm just sending this one. I'm just sending the data to the client side. So it's going to be a user. This one going to give us a user, right? No, you can just take out the data. Like we don't really know it's a user or data. Maybe the database cannot find this user. It's just sending us some empty data, things like that. I don't really care. I just want to sending this one to the client. I'm just sending this data to the client. I don't care if it's a user or something else. All right. So I'm getting some data from the database and just sending that to the response. Sending back that response to the client. And we also have a find user here. This is a big one. So this one is find user by credential. Instead of to use a for loop to find by ourselves, we can just use a user model here. Okay, user model the find user by credential. Let's copy the name from there. Find user by credentials. Where is that? It's here. Find user by credentials. It takes a username and a password. And we have a then here, right? It's going to give us some response. And for how do we deal with the response? Send it to the user. So it's just getting a user. I want to just send it to the client. It may not be a user, right? It's just some data. I just send this data. It's just a variable name. You can call data, call the response, call the user. It doesn't really matter. Just sending this thing we'll get, and sending this one to the client. Okay. And after that, we're going to do a return. Still want to stop this function here, so we just do a return. And if this one is trying to find the user by username, same thing. You just call the user model find the user by username, and give a username to it, and have then here. After we get a response from the database, we just send a response to the user. Right? The parenthesis here is optional. The parenthesis here is optional. Let's call it data. Makes them all the same. So I'll call it data. The parenthesis here is optional. Oops. Okay. Create is already changed. Update user. Okay, update user. So we're not going to do some old user or index. We don't have to do that. It's much easier right now. Just user model and update user, and it takes the UID, and it takes the user we want to update to. Right? This is a new user I want to update it to, and then we're going to do a then here, and we're going to sending this state response to the client. So it's just data res.json, the data to the user. I don't care what it is, just give it to you, and the client will handle the data. And then for the delete, it's the same thing. We get in the UID, that's enough, and we're just going to using this UID to do the user model delete user. Then and takes we're getting a data, and please send this data to the client. Okay, I think that's it. Like it's become just one line for each code. So I don't need to select user anymore, and we don't need the user arrays anymore. But it's just comment it out. Maybe I want to use the data here to put them into the database later. Right, those are going to be all the user functions we have there. Let's restart the node server. See if there's any error. Okay, there's an error. Require, I have a typo somewhere. It's in the user model, the server.js. Where is that? Here, require. Okay, let's try it again. Node server. It's another error. Node server module.js cannot find the module user schema.js. Cannot find this module. Maybe I put the wrong name for it. Let's try it again. User. What's this one here? Oh yeah, they're in the same folder. Not user module. It's user schema. Wait, hold on. Yes, both of them are in the user folder. So just // user.schema user. Just yeah, they're in the same folder. Let's try it again. Let's try here. Let's make it bigger. Clear. Node server. Let's make it bigger. Have another error. Mod have double G here. Which one is this? It's where is that? Here. User.schema. It's in my schema. Let's take a look. Mongoose. That's not there. Where is it? Oh yeah, here. Mongoose. Clear. Node server. Oh, that's annoying. Mongoose, the user schema is not a function. Let's see. In my schema, user schema there. Let's take a look. It's here. Mongoose.user schema. Oh yeah, it's just a schema. Yeah, mongoose.schema. It's not like a mongoose. The schema is a function. like this, create a schema for it. I think it's that should be the correct syntax. Server. Okay, running on 3100. The server side, it should be fine. Just sending the data to the MongoDB, and the MongoDB sending a response to the server, and the server just sending a response to the client. Let's take a look our client side. Let's see if everything is handled successfully. Let's take a user service here. It's this one. We're not going to use that anymore. Just that. So this one is just okay. Those functions don't really do anything special. They are just trying to, to sending a request to the server and sending the response to the component, right? The user service client, yes, they don't have to change anything. Let me just delete those comment sorts. I don't really need them anymore. They just sending a response to the client side, to the component. The component will be the place where we use each functions. So let's take a look of each component. In the register, okay, the register is going to have the username and the password. Have verified password. This one is the same. If the password is not equal to verified password, we just change the password error equals to true. Else, the password error equals false. And this one going to sending a find the user by username to the client side. Okay, we have to change that a little bit. So let's change it a little bit. Okay, so this is going to be the user service to find the user by username. It's the same thing, and it's going to sending this username to it. And still will be a subscribe. From here it's the same, but here we're going to, I think we're going to have an if case here. 1 second. Let me make sure I did it correctly. Let me take a look of my. Okay. Right. So this find user by username. Right, we are going to get some data from the database. It may be a user. If we find that user, it may be something else. It may be empty, because we cannot find the user, right? Remember, when we're trying to find a DB the user the find. If we're trying to find a user, with username is equal to Shiyu. If we don't have that, it just give us nothing. It's just no response. It's kind of like null, right? If we get a null, that means we don't find that user. So here we're gonna have an if case. If firstly we're gonna have a response. Like we're gonna have some data. It can be anything. Some data from the client side, right? From the server side, right? And we get some data from the server side. If we're getting what we have is not a user, it's something, it's null, right? If not data, if there's no data sending out, like if it's a null, then that means the username is not taken. We can register with this username, right? So if the username is okay, it is null, that means the user, we can't create that. So we're gonna create a user and then call the create to it. Let's copy that. Let's firstly create a user here. I'm going to say we're gonna create a new user to it, and then we call the create user function. Put this here. Actually, how about we just using the one we already have and adding a if else there? Then it's just much easier. Yeah, let's do that. I'm just doing some stupid stuff. Okay, so this is what we had before, And instead of a user here, let's just change this one to a if else. If we get a user, no matter it's anything, whatever it is, like it just can be some data, and if not data, then we're going to do the whole thing here. We don't have this. We don't need this arrow anymore. Yeah. So if the data we got is a null, that means we cannot find the user with this username. That means the username is not taken. Then we're gonna create this user for the we're gonna create this user for the user, right? We're gonna create this user for the user. This is the username, the create user, and the create user maybe just get any data from this, might not be a user. And we are going to sending the user to the page. Yeah, I think we still need a user here. Let me think about it. One second. Okay, so we are creating this user. If we don't have any data, that means we get that user, and then we're gonna create this user. If the create user, we are going to get some data there, right? If we're getting some data about any, no. Let me take a look of our user model.js. Create user and user service. It's trying to respond the data to us. Okay, then we're gonna do two things. If what we get, if the data is a user, then we're going to get in the ID of the user, the navigate the user to its profile. But if we're getting something else, if we're getting an error, and we're going to show the error to the user. Maybe this username error equals to true. Tell him like there's some error happened there, and your username is not working. Okay. And this one close the if, and we need to have else here. But this one is saying if the data, if there's no data, we're going to do this. But if we found the data, that means the username is already taken. We are going to say this username error equals true. We are not going to create the user for you. You have to try with another username. No, we don't need this. Let's try if this one is working. I'm not sure if that's working. So let's open the ngServe. Try that. That's my user. It's my assignment. Git bash here. Let's try ngServe here. See if that works. ng not found. I'll have to do that again. Need to let the system know I have the ng here. Please find it here. Right. Let's restart it. Get back here. ngServe. So it's going to run the client side for me. So I can use the localhost 4200 to test it. Let's see what do we have in our database firstly. DB the user.find. Find everything for me. I'll see what I have here. Okay, let's remove it. DB the user dot remove it. I want to see like remove everything. DB the user dot find. Okay, it's empty. Let's see if I can successfully create a user inside it. This is my server side. This is my nothing. Close it. Server side, client side is running. Let's try it. Localhost 4200. Right, let's try it. Go to register page. Let's try to register our user. Alice. Nothing is happening. F12. I'm not getting any error here. Huh. Did I create the user? Let me see. Nope. Nothing is happening. Let's refresh it. Alice. Register. Nothing is happening. That's weird. Oh, I'm getting. Oh no, that's not. Oh, here. Unhandled promise rejection warning. I'm getting an error here. At pass ID. Cast to object ID failed for the value ID. Let me take a look. Oh yeah, like when I create a user, I create ID for it, like it's a string. But like in the database, the ID is not a string. It should be some object. Let's just go to the the way to fix that is go to the client side module. In the user module here, let's make the ID optional. Okay, let's make the ID optional. Right? Let's make the ID optional. And here, when we create the user in the register component, we're not going to give it the ID. I'm not going to give the ID. Just have username, password, first name, last name, email. We don't give the ID to it. Okay? Let's try that. So, Alice, register. What? Still not working? What is happening here? Let's firstly let's clear this. Do a node server again. Let's click this button again. Let's refresh it. Just trying to register Bob. Register. Let's see if we're getting any error here. No error. Did we create that? No, we're not creating. We don't create it. We didn't create that. What's wrong with this? Right, something is not working. Let's test that step by step. Oh, I'm getting an error here. Unhandled promise MongoDB connection 0 to timed out. Let me see. It's not connected with the MongoDB. Server model server is connected to the WebMaker database. Just WebMaker database. Let's clear that. Not clear. Let's show DBs. WebMaker. Let's use WebMaker. Switch to WebMaker database. But this one shouldn't has nothing to do with this one. It's just I want to use it to test. Show collections. Do I have any collections inside? Shouldn't be any. Yeah, it's empty. What? It's frozen? Try to open another one. Command pop. Mongo. One two 7.0.0.0.1. Yeah. Okay, it's connected. 2 connections are open. 1 connection is open. Yeah. Command will make the user the command insert. I want to insert a user, right? Wasn't that working?
Console log the response.
Yeah, we have to console log it to test it. But let me firstly use web maker. db show collections. We have a user collection here. db the user dot find. We have Alice here. Alice is created. That's weird. Let's try it again. db the user dot remove. Okay. And let's try it again. Let's close the node server. Okay, node server again. Let's refresh this one. Let's try to create a Bob. It's not navigating me. Let's see what do we have here. Let's try see if we ended the stuff there. No, it's empty. It's empty. Getting error connection timeout. Okay, let's see. It's adding some response here. So let's first adding a console log in our server side. Modules, model server. Let's go to the user model server. Create a user. Let's firstly console.log user. See what kind of user we're trying to create. Do we get this function? So let's clear that. The server register. Nothing happening. Is the MongoD still working? Let's try to shut it down. Clear. Let's do another MongoD here. Okay, the MongoD is running. Let's restart the server. So name Alice. Yeah, we navigated back to here. That means that the MongoD was not working, stops working for some reason because my computer, I guess. Okay, that's a user registered. Let's try to find that one. db user find the pretty. Oops. Network issue. I think this one is not linked with that. Mongo use web maker. Oops, not user. Use web maker. Switch it to db web maker. db.user.find. Pretty. Find this user for me. Yeah, I found it. The ID is equal to some object ID here. It's randomly generated. And we have the username IDs, password IDs, first name empty, last name empty, email empty. And there is a date created. It's a data type. It's today's date and the time of now. Okay, that's a user we just created. We just created the IDs. Let's create more. Log out. Let's create a Bob. Okay, and let's create more. What else we need? We need a Charlie, right? What's the username and the password for Charlie? I actually forget. It's just Charlie. Close that. So it's right here. It's just Charlie. Let's copy that. Charlie. Let's try to create Alice again. See if there's any other error. Username is taken. Please try another one. Let's try Charlie, but the username I put 123 and 321. It should tell me like the password doesn't match. Yeah, two passwords are not match, but it's still saying username is already taken. Let's remove this username is already taken error. In the register. Okay. So else password error equal to false. I already say the password error equal to false. Why is it still showing the password error? Oh no, sorry, it's not. When we call the register function, we need to set up both error equal to false. We can just call the ng-init here, right? Just call the ng-init here. Oops. Call the ng-init here. It's going to set both error to false, and then it's going to change those errors again. Okay, let's try it again. We just add Alice, telling me the username is taken. Let's change the Alice to Charlie, and password 123, so it's 1. Register. Two passwords are not a match. So let's just put the password Charlie. Register. Okay, we'll register for Charlie and register 1 for Xiyu. Register. Okay. Let's see if we have them in the database. DB the user find pretty. You have Xiyu, Charlie, Bob, and Alice. We have all of them here. The create function, the register function is done. Right? It's totally functional. So we successfully put our data into our database. Let's try to making login works. Let's take a look at login. Should be just similar few lines of change. Component user login the TS here. Login function. Okay. It's not going to give a user or error. I think we're still going to give a user or error. Let's see if that's working. Let's just directly try that. Let's try to log in as Alice. Login. It works. Let's try to give some wrong password here. It's not showing the error anymore. Yeah, we have to add in if cases here. We have to add in if cases here. So here we'll say if user. If we found a user, then we're going to navigate you. Right? If we found a user, else we'll just show the error flag. Right? If we found a user, we're going to navigate you. Else we'll just show you the error flag. Let's try that. Alice, login. It works. Log out. If I try to log in as Bob, it should work. Just try some random stuff. 13, login. Yeah, invalid username and password. So login works. We're just adding else case here, right? And for the update, I think it's just working. Let's try that. So email. What's the email for the Alice? put this one on the left, this one on the right, make this one smaller. Oops, not this one. It's this one, yeah. This one on the left. So let's take a look of their data. Okay, so for the Alice, the email should be alice@gmail.com. The first name is Alice. Last name is Wonder. Let's update it. Update successfully. So if I refresh it, yeah, it's updated. Let's take a look of if it's updated in the database. DB the user find pretty. Please find me. Not in the pretty, in the file. Please find me with a user, like a username is equal to Alice. It's Alice. Okay. Yeah. So if you see the data is updated here, username, password, first name, last name, email, they're all updated here. The update is working. Let's try to update the one for the Bob too. Log out. Let me log out in as Bob. And I want to update the data for the Bob. So your first name is Bob, last name is Marty, your email is bob@whatever.com. Just update it. That should work. Let's try update the Charlie. Last name, first name, email, charlie@hotmail.com. Update it. Okay, and then let's do it for me. Login, and we have the first name and have a last name and my email. It's here, s1@udemy.org. Okay, all data should be there. I can just delete this thing here. I don't need that anymore. So let's take a look. DB user find pretty. All the data are there. Okay, they all stored in the database. So right now, if you just restart the server, restart the client side, the data will still be there. They will always stored in the database unless you delete it. No matter you stop anything. Every time if you just restart it, the data will be always there. Okay, it won't disappear unless you delete them. I can just store their permanently in the database. So you don't have to worry about like if you just refresh a page, the data disappear. No, it won't. It just will be always there. So that's it for the user pages. Like I already have the username, have the email, have first name, last name, I have everything there we need. And tomorrow we are working on the website part, like to making the website works. Right now the website doesn't really have any websites here. Okay. Right now we already have the username parts. They're all done. Like we can log in, register, or we can log out. Log in, data will be there. If I restart the server, right? If I just know this is the server, if I clear that, the server again. If I refresh the page here, the data is still here. See, the data is still here, and see my user ID is showing in the URL is some random ID here. Okay, if I log in as Alice, my data is still there. Okay, so we did a few things today. The first thing we did is create a module folders in the server folder, right? And in the modules folder, the connection is this module.server.js. It's help you to connect the server to the MongoDB. Alright, it's just create a connection string here and just using Mongoose to connect it to the MongoDB. And then in the users folder, we create two files here. One is user.schema. The server is just create a schema telling you like what the user looks like. It should have username, password, first name, and last name, and email there. And it will automatically generate a date created for you. And in the user module server, Just calling those functions in the database, calling the db the user the insert, db the user delete, db user the update. It's going to just one line code to update data in the database, right? And in the app.js, we're just telling him, please import the module server for me. Okay, import this module server for me, right? And in the services, user the services here. Instead of using the array here, we're just going to call those functions we created in the user module, right? To do those things for us. And that's it. Like in the client side, we're just adding an if case for the login and for the register. Like in the login, if the user exists, we just log in for you. If it doesn't exist, we just show you an error. And for register, if we get nothing, that means the user doesn't exist. Then we register for you. Then we register it for you. If we find the user, that means the user is already the username is already taken. We just give you an error stating you a username is taken. Please try another one. That's only thing we did. We just added if cases for the register and login in the client side, and that's it. So let me send my code to my Heroku. Close this everything, and what I want to do is git bash here, and we'll do a ng build prod. And also, meanwhile, let me upload the video. Stop recording.